Man Lubya Dustaram. Man Lubya Haley Dustaram. Salam and welcome back to the channel. Man Kisha Hastam and I am learning Farsi through food. And today I have something a little different because in case you didn't know, Farsi or Persian is spoken not only in Iran but also in Afghanistan. So I want to expand my learning Farsi through food skills to another country where Farsi is spoken. What I have for you today is lubya or Afghan kidney bean soup. And I know in Iran there's lubya polo, but from what I read, lubya in Afghanistan or Afghan lubya is something different. It is this kidney bean soup that's also kind of like a curry and eaten with rice. And just remember, I am learning Farsi through food. I am not a cook, I'm not a chef. I just think the dishes from this part of the world are really good, and I'm interested in learning Farsi. And I thought comparing the two, the food and the language learning, would just be a really good idea. So let's go ahead and get started. So I think I'm just gonna add everything to the pot and kind of take it from there, maybe except for the onions. I'll let the onions cook first and then just kind of throw everything in. That's typically how I like to do stews anyway. And from time to time, you may see me reach for handy dandy English to Persian dictionary. After all, I am learning Farsi and kind of pairing that with food. Oh, how do you say onion? Onion? Pear? Onion. Is that in here? Piaz. Piaz. What is pear? I don't know. I don't know. Pear means something, but it doesn't mean onion. All right, let's get back to the stew. So I roughly chopped the piaz, not paying much attention to the size of each cut because it's just going to go into the pot and get cooked down. I added a few spoonfuls of rogani nargil or coconut oil to the pot to prepare the piaz for browning. And then I remembered that red onions are piaze gourmets in Farsi, and that's what I should be calling them, not just piaz, because that is actually different. In English, we would say onion versus red onion. I let the onions cook in the rohani nargil or coconut oil, but I was a bit concerned that I actually added too much of the coconut oil to the pot. But since this was my first time ever making this, I just kind of went with it. I then added coriander or gushnis to the pot, and I've noticed with Afghan cuisine, coriander is often used. It seems to be a primary spice, and I haven't really noticed that with Persian cooking just yet. It could be that I haven't come across it yet, but coriander or gushnis seems to be an essential spice in Afghan cooking. This recipe actually calls for adding cumin, but I didn't have any, so I used felfel cayenne or cayenne pepper, which ended up being a really good substitute. Next was sear or garlic, and I already had some pre-chopped, so I just added that straight to the pot. Next was a can of goje farangi ha, or a can of tomatoes, which can also be said as goje ha if you want to be less formal. But on another note, if I were to make this again, I would just scoop out the goje farangi ha instead of just pouring out the can because that caused the tomato sauce to splash everywhere. Then man kari ra ham mizanam. I stir the curry and kind of mash the tomatoes a bit. But at this point, it was actually looking more like a soup than a curry, so I think I should probably say man soup ra ham mizanam. I then added cilantro or gushnis, and it doesn't seem like Farsi differentiates between coriander and cilantro because they're actually both the same. but in English we say coriander, and that's the seed, and cilantro for the actual plant. So at this point, I was actually feeling pretty good about my soup slash curry. So I went ahead and added the kidney beans, or Lubya Curry. And lastly, it was namak va fefel, or salt and pepper, which really brought everything together. Very essential spices in most dishes. And I probably shouldn't have done this last part, but I ended up adding soup broth to the dish, and that kind of made an Afghan Lubya soup instead of an Afghan Lubya curry, but it still came out pretty good. I still really liked it. And here's the completed dish, which was so exciting. This is the first time I've ever made anything related to Afghan cuisine. I know it didn't come out perfect. It's supposed to be a curry, not a soup, but I still really liked it. I thought it looked great and I was really excited to try it. But before I could have my first taste test, I wanted some additional toppings, so I added more piazza gourmets and goushnis, or red onions, and cilantro in this case. And after that, I was done and I was ready to eat Afghan lubia for the very first time. Lubia is finally finished, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm excited to try it. Um, I added way too much broth, and it kind of turned it into a soup as opposed to a curry. But you know what? I'm not upset about that. I think this is going to be really good. Let's see. Mmm. Mmm. But it reminds me of chili. Kind of reminds me of chili. Oh yeah, I like it. Mmm. Excellent flavor. I love the kidney beans. I love the cilantro. Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna make this again. Mm. Mm. It's really hearty. Man, Lubya, Dustaram. Man, Lubya, Haley Dustaram. Really like Lubya. Lubya polo, that's more of a Persian dish, is a dish that has rice and green beans. But this is Afghan Lubya. I'm not sure why they're called the same, but I like both Lubya polo and now Afghan Lubya.